Laksa. That's it. Keep watching. You'll be mad to miss this. So laksa is a spicy noodle soup. So of course, it's really important that we spend the most amount of time getting the base of the soup right. So I'm going to make a prawn stock, and I've got these delicious looking prawns from the market, okay? So I'm going to take off the heads and de-shell everything. If you've never done this before, you could get your fishmonger to do this if you don't want to be handling the prawns yourself. Otherwise, rip off the head, take off the legs, and just carefully just peel away that shell. So you're just left with this juicy prawn underneath. Next up, we're going to devein the prawns. So carefully score just down the prawn. Use a smaller knife. And just peel that vein out. We're not going to use that. There you go, that's a nice and clean prawn, ready for blanching. Now, if you don't want to get your hands messy, just ask your fishmonger to do this for you. Or you can just buy the prawns de-shelled already. But the main thing is, I've got these lovely shells to make my stock with, and that is going to give us a lot of that stock flavour. This is the secret of a prawn laksa stock. I can taste whether laksa is going to be good just by having one sip of that broth. It is fundamental that you get that base stock correct. There are many ways you could do this. You could roast these off first in oil. But I'm just going to add them straight into my prawn stock already because I've already got some of this simmering away. I'm going to bring this up to temperature, covered in water, bring it up to a boil. I'm just going to remove any of this little scum that comes to the top, that extra protein, and remove that. And let that simmer. And let that simmer for no more than 30 minutes because actually you won't get much more flavour out of a fish or a seafood stock. But this does not apply to, say, a meat stock like chicken or roast beef, where you can stew it for hours and it'll get better. But the fish flavour will actually deteriorate a bit. You won't get as much flavour from it. So 30 minutes, okay? So while that is simmering away, let's compare the rempah. So we've got our usual companions when it comes to making this rempah. We've got shallots, we've got candle nuts, which are also known as kamiri nuts. Now, these are actually toxic in its raw form, so please don't eat these. When you cook them out, that toxicity disappears, but this is going to add a really nice creaminess and thickness to the dish. We've got fresh turmeric, some galangal, and I got some lemongrass that I'm going to add in later at the end. Some dried chilies that I've rehydrated in water. I've rehydrated these for about 20 minutes until they've gone a bit soft and they're ready to go. Also, I'm rehydrating some dried shrimp as well. Bung it into my trusty blender. Of course, you could use the trusty pestle and mortar and pound away. So add as many chilies as you want, depending how spicy, how your heat tolerant is. Not going to waste any of those. Those were really expensive. And also, I toasted up some black chan earlier. This is fermented shrimp paste. Some people say this is the smelliest thing they've ever come across. I say it's actually pure, pungent flavour. That is like the real MSG right there. Try and get hold of this. It's a Malaysian, this is the Malaysian version. You can get a Thai version in like a jar. And it normally gets wrapped up in this like little paper, but this isn't gonna do much. I'm gonna vat pack this, so save all that flavour in, and also prevent it from smelling like the kitchen. Right. I'm gonna add a little bit of oil, quite a bit of oil in there to help it blend. All right, let's go. I'm happy with that. It's blended nice and smooth, so there's no like hard bits, there's no bits, it's not looking gritty from the shrimp. So that's perfect, that's ready to go. Next up, because I'm gonna do a traditional I'm going to do a traditional Katong style laksa. This means it's going to have coconut spicy broth, but with some cockles. So I bought these from the market earlier. So it's a good idea to make sure that give those cockles a good old wash. You do this by rinsing the cockles. Gosh, how many times am I going to say cockles in this episode? By you just simply pouring water over it and rinsing it out. You can see there's a little bit of sand and grit, so it's important to remove any of that. Pour that all out. Right, so I've got my washed cockles. I'm going to just quickly blanch them for a minute or two in a pan. Now I'll just pop open. Put a touch of water in there, just to help it steam. And this will take about 1 minute, less than 1 minute, for them to pop open. That's it. Turn this off. Yeah, you can see them pop open. Discard any that haven't opened. That means that they were dead. So you grab the cockle in your hand and just scoop that out and discard the shells. You've got some big cockles and you've got some little cockles. And you can see these are like the British white version. In Singapore, I'm very used to seeing like the blood cockles, they call them, so they're slightly pinkier in colour. It's hard for me to say which one's more superior in taste, but you tell me, which is better, these ones or the pink blood cockles? And it's quite common to find these in the British supermarket or fishmongers, in the fishmonger section. So we prepared our proteins, the cockles, the prawns and the prawn stock, and we've got the rempah ready. So now it's time to cook the laksa and bring it all together. Heat up a small pan with some oil and add the rempah in. I'm just doing a small portion right now, so I'm not going to use all that rempah up. Turn it down on the low heat. Can I get a spatula, please? Wow, the smell coming from this rempah. So this is the bit that I would say is the most laborious bit. It's the labor of love. You've got to be stirring this rempah because you don't want it to hatch, you don't want it to burn, but what you want to do is cook all of those ingredients out for a long enough time to really draw out all of that flavor. So this is the bit that will take you the longest. This is looking ready. You can see the oils has changed color here. And it's starting to split. That means that rempah is ready. All right, we've got our prawn stock here. And we did that by really crushing all those prawn heads and shells through a fine sieve to extract as much flavor as possible. Come and look at this rempah now. Look what we got here. See all that lovely oil starting to ooze out? Look how beautifully coloured that is, that ember colour. It's not burnt, it's not black, it's not like stuck to the bottom. That is ready. So I'm going to turn that onto a low heat. That's ready for the stock now. So add in the prawn stock. You'll immediately see that oil has just come straight to the top. That is already a great sign for a good laksa. So that's just going to have a ton of flavour. I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit. I'm going to save this prawn stock. I'm going to reduce it a bit further, and I'm actually going to put it in some ice cubes in the freezer. And there's some instant stock cubes ready for another dish. Maybe a Hokkien mee or prawn mee. Look at that. That looks absolutely divine. Now we're smashing up our lemongrass, taking out all of our frustration, anger from the day onto the lemongrass, and that's going to go in to our stock. So this is Vietnamese hot mint or laksa leaves. This is very crucial for a laksa dish, particularly the one that I'm doing. I think that my chefs described it as a cross between coriander and like lemon balm or lemon verbena that I had like a love child. They're going to go into the dish. You can put it in whole, but I'm just going to break the leaves off. So I think when you break the leaves, it kind of releases all that aroma. I'll let that stew for about a minute or two. So we're going to add in the coconut. You can add as much as you want, depending on your spice tolerance. Look at that. Just going to give that a little taste. It's got a really good kick there from that chili. I added quite a lot of chili in. That's definitely going to wake us up. Definitely need some salt, sugar. Salt, sugar. Give it a good whisk in. Let's give this a taste again. Banging. Woo. So with this particular laksa, the Katong Laksa, there isn't actually many garnishes in terms of greens in the dish. It's just going to have this shredded laksa leaf on top as a garnish, and that's it. You can have cucumber, you can have coriander, but traditionally it's just with these laksa leaves on top. So I'm just going to bring them all together, roll them up like a little. Just going to roll them up and just chiffonade it into a shred. Perfect. Now the laksa, we've done the base. I've tasted it, it's perfect. Now we just need to kind of bring it all together now. So this is the hard bit, it's all done. We just need to bring the noodles and the toppings together. There are lots of different types of noodles that are used in laksa. I've chosen this Penang style noodle, which is like a slightly thicker vermicelli rice noodle. And I like it because it's made with tapioca and there's some other, it's got like tapioca starch, so it's a little bit springy. So it's got that really nice mouthfeel to it when you eat. Plus it holds this lovely texture in the soup. I prepared a lot here for my chefs to try. And I'm just going to put it into the bowl. So these noodles didn't need really any cooking. I just covered them in some boiling hot water to let them soak until they came soft and white. But some noodles, if they're slightly thicker, they might need a little bit of blanching in hot water and then refreshing it in cold. If you're using vermicelli, then again, you just need to soak it in some warm water and then strain it. Traditionally, in Katong, you would have these noodles cut. Now this, maybe to like an Italian, it seems like blasphemy to cut these noodles up. But this is because they would have the noodles just that and a spoon. And that is actually perfect for my chefs to be having a snack whilst they're working. Now, we've got the soup. I'm gonna just move my stock carefully back over there. I'm going to quickly blanch the fish cakes and prawns and cockles, bring them up to temperature in just some boiling hot water and then put them into my bowl. Alrighty, I got my noodle basket, I filled it with some fish cakes and those prawns that I peeled earlier. And that is going to take about 30 seconds to cook, just quickly. I'm gonna steal a little bit of chef's tofu puffs. Tofu puffs are the match made in heaven for this laksa dish. Because look at this. These fried tofu puffs are like little sponges. See all these pockets? They're gonna, if I put them into the stock now, they're going to fill up with that lovely laksa juice. And it's just gonna be like a sponge that just sort of releases all this lovely flavor in your mouth. So I'm gonna put them in the stock now, just so that they soak up some of that laksa broth. In you go, my lovelies. Okay, these are ready. My prawns and my fish cakes are ready. Oh, I'm just doing like a small little bowl here because I don't want too much. I'm just pouring a ladle or two over my noodles. And make sure I get a couple of those tofu puffs. And then finish it off with a good sprinkling of those laksa leaves on top. Now that is going to be heavenly. Oh, hang on. Hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. I forgot my cockles. Who forgets their cockles? Just gonna put a good handful of cockles in that water just to heat it up. Good grief. Now make sure those cockles get into that hot broth so they warm up nicely. So the cockles have gone in. Now for the final touch is some sambal. There we go. Add as much or as little as you'd like. That's gonna provide some extra heat. I think I should have gone for a larger bowl. I can't wait to tuck into that. Looking at this bowl so lovingly. Lovely bowl of laksa. Lovely bowl of laksa. Can we say that 5 times fast? I tell you, when this weather is cold as it is, I'm on my turtleneck now. This just gives you a right old hug, which I definitely need. Ooh, it's spicy, it's warming. Ooh, that cockle popped in my mouth there. Nice. I think if you haven't tried it, give it a go. I think there's so many different versions across Malaysia, Singapore, Southeast Asia. Now there's lots of versions out there, but this is the one that's gonna get Singaporeans excited. It's savory, packed full of seafood, it's full of cockles. It's the Katong Laksa. Let me know in the comments, what's your favorite place to go? Maybe I should go visit and do a film there. Or do you have a particular style laksa that you love to make? Maybe I should do an episode on it. But what I do know for certain is that this style of laksa is hands down my favorite at the moment for today. God, it's delicious. And no, sorry, I can't serve it at Mei, but you can make this at home. So I'll see you again next time, guys. If you haven't got a good broth, then you haven't got a good laksa. I tell you, Mei gets the best of food.